Peace, family. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ami, and this is the 3%. And today, y'all, is book club. It's book club. We're gonna do book club and tarot today. We will begin in just a moment. Peace to the tribe. All right, family, let's go ahead and get started. Let's turn this music down. I hope everyone is having a marvelous day. It is a beautiful day here in Kansas City. It's probably like 75. It's a little wind. The sun is out, shining. It's the perfect weather. I'm sitting on the balcony, just taking in the scenery. All right, so Nobody Wins by Ramon Singleton. Now, just a little tea, a little backstory is that I actually met the author. I met him in my escorting days, family. And anyways, when I met this gentleman, he was really just like, what are you doing in this industry? You don't need to be nowhere near this. Like, you have a brain. I'm like, yeah, I have a brain. He was like, well, exercise that brain and read my book. So, Nobody Wins by Ramon Singleton. He was a cool ass dude, really dropped a lot of gems on me. And honestly, kind of put the fire up under my ass to leave the game. So, I went to Cali for a reason that day, I guess. I met this man and he gave me this beautiful book. It's funny, it's crazy, it's a plot twist. It's just gonna have you on your toes. It's quite a bit of little typos in here, family. I have read it halfway through once before, just never finished it. So y'all bear with me. Kick your shoes off, get your mimosas, look, get your water, get your smokes, anything that you need to hang out with me. We're gonna put this music on real low. And we're gonna go ahead and jump in. This is a gangster novel if you're, looking for context. The dedication says this book is dedicated to my loving mother and father. You are truly missed and forever resting in our hearts, down here in earth. Rest in heaven. Chapter 1. McNeil, let's roll. Hurry and pack your shit. This is the second time R&D had called you. The short, chubby white officer yelled through the dorm. Okay, give me a second. I just gotta grab something. After leaving his contact information with his cellie in a brief pound and hug exactly 2 minutes later, McNeil was walking up the prison compound for the last time with Officer Smith. Damn, McNeil. I thought you didn't want to leave. It took you so long to gather all your shit. Speaking of shit, all you have is a few pictures and a Holy Bible with you. It did not take you that long to gather a little bit of that property. McNeil, just let Officer Smith continue to run off at the mouth as his mind drifted to the only thing in the world right now that mattered to him. Freedom. Once they reached R&D, Officer Smith said his goodbyes in that lame-ass speech that all the officers gave you once you're about to be released out of prison. McNeil, you're a good dude, man. I've been here with you for the past 7 years, and you're way too smart and intelligent to be locked in anybody's prison. Get out of here and do something positive with your life. I don't want to see you back in this shit. With that said, Smith shook his hand, turned and walked away, leaving him and Miss Jax all alone in R&D. And y'all, for context, I think R&D is receiving and discharging at the jail. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what R&D means. Good morning, McNeil. I'm so glad to see this day has finally come for you. McNeil was hearing the first few words that came out of Miss Jackson's mouth until she turned from the counter and went to get his personal clothes that were in a small room right behind her. As any man, all he could think about was how she was wearing those tight-ass uniform pants that showed off her fat ass with that small waist, plus the small gray shirt which seemed to stick to those small perky breasts. Damn, what a bad bitch like this doing working in a fucking prison was the only many questions that I had running through my mind. While she continued to bend over and run her fingers over the boxes, scanning to find which belonged to McNeil, his thoughts kept thinking of this woman's beauty, the beauty that she possessed. Standing at only 5'2" and about 119 pounds, with a caramel skin complexion, short haircut with high cheekbones to match her cute, flawless face, and slanted eyes to top it all off. Any man couldn't help but to admire her beauty. Okay, McNeil, here we go right here. I finally found it, Miss Jax said while grabbing the box of clothes and walking back up to the counter. You can step over there behind the curtain and change while I do your paperwork, she said as she placed the box on top of the counter. McNeil grabbed the box of clothes and slipped behind the blue curtain that hung across the front of the small dressing room. McNeil, Miss Jax called out. Yeah, what's up? Why is it that girl's been sitting out there in the parking lot ever since I got to work at like 6 a.m. this morning? Shit, your guess is as good as mine. Guess she ready to get her hands all over me and see what a free man tastes like. Huh. Get her hands all over you? Boy, please. Well, you should have told her that you were getting released at 10:30 a.m. Hell, I did. But if she wants to sit out there and wait, then let her. Besides, she's been waiting on this day just like I have. Well, whatever you say, mister, but tell me this. Does she know about your wife who's locked up in this case with you? Damn, baby sound a little jealous and concerned, McNeil thought to himself before answering her question. Yes, she knows, but that's not my wife, he replied as he stepped from the dressing room and back towards the counter, where Miss Jack seemed to be doing some paperwork. Well, Mr. McNeil, you look mighty tasty, Miss Jack said with lustful eyes before straightening up her last comment. I mean, mighty handsome, sir. You look handsome, young man. Thanks, was his reply. But the eye never lies, and the look in her eyes said that she was ready to eat a young nigga alive. At that very moment, McNeil felt any woman would be lucky to have him, as he stood there with a big-ass Kool-Aid smile on his face, showing his golds and invisible set diamond grill. At 5'11", 189 pounds of pure muscle, a shade darker than light skin, neatly trimmed taper fade with waves flowing all over his head, and a clean-shaven beard, and goatee with tattoos all over his entire body except his head, face, and ass cheeks. Oh, he definitely felt any woman would love to be his. Not to mention the cream-colored polo shirt that hugged him from years of working out, white linen shorts, and the cream Maury gaiters and lizard shoes to match that he was now wearing only added to his confidence. In other words, the nigga swag was through the roof, and he knew it. Here, sign these papers on these lines that I've marked with X's, Miss Jack says as she handed him the tiny stack of papers. McNeil did as he was asked, giving his signature by each of the X's. Then he handed her back the small stack of papers. Here, I think that's all of them. Okay, give me a second and I'll process these. And you should be out of here within the next 15 minutes or so, she said as she quickly reviewed over the papers, then began to process my information into the computer. Sure enough, about 15 minutes later, she stood and came from around the counter and handed him his release papers and a check from his prison account, McNeil. I hope that under these circumstances we never meet again. Get out of this shit. Please don't ever return. You're way above this shit, and there's too many people out there who are counting on you. Trust me, Miss Jax, this shit is over. Whew! Sorry, y'all, it's a wasp. There's a whole wasp, okay. Trust me, Miss Jax, this shit is over with. Believe me when I tell you, it's a closed chapter on Jason McNeil's life. She quickly glanced around to make sure no one else was in sight. And to Jason's surprise, she gave him a quick hug and a peck on the cheek. You take care of yourself and tell Crystal I said hello. After all, her and Crystal did become all right with one another from all the times Crystal used to come visit Jason, and Miss Jax would be working the front lobby, letting all the visitors in. Before you knew it, Jason was a free man standing on the other side of those federal gates, looking at one of the baddest chicks he ever laid eyes on. Well, damn, nigga, don't just stand there. Come here and give me a hug, Crystal's sexy ass said as she strutted over to him and wrapped her arms around his neck and planted a wet, sloppy tongue kiss on him. Jason couldn't help but notice the way that pink Prada dress hugged all over Crystal's sexy curves, and those heels to match with her freshly pedicured toes out only made his manhood stand at attention, and his hands found her soft ass. And as they hugged and kissed right there in the parking lot for what seemed like forever, damn, I'm so glad you're finally home, baby, Crystal said as soon as their lips locked, then giving him another peck on the lips. Home to you? Whoever said I was coming home to you? Was a thought that was running in Jason's head. But he just kept it player. He went along with the flow. Yeah, baby, I'm glad to be out of this shit too, was all he could manage to say. Come on, baby. Let's get the fuck away from these crackers prison. I done seen enough of this shit in my past 7 years, Jason said as he led the way to the pearl white truck. Okay, babe, let's go. But I want you to drive at least halfway, then I'll take over, Crystal said while tossing Jason the keys to her Escalade. Bitch, you tripping, he responded between a light chuckle, then continued. I ain't been out of prison 5 minutes. What you trying to do? Sit a nigga right back? Plus I ain't got no DLs. Y'all, so he ain't have license, y'all. She already trying to put him on bullshit. He just literally, the gate just shut. The nigga just got released and she already trying to have the nigga fuck up. Mm-mm-mm. Gratitude. Welcome in, Kimberly. You scary ass nigga. Just get in the truck and drive. After I let you bust a good nut all in my mouth, then I'll take the wheel from there, she said seductively while running her tongue across her teeth. With that being said, Jason did what any nigga would do, and that's hop in the driver's seat, behind the wheel of a brand new truck that he ain't have no business driving. As soon as both doors slammed shut on the SUV, Crystal reached over and began to rub on his manhood through the linen shorts and silk boxers. All right, girl, you better chill out here before we start something right here on this federal property. Come on, baby. I just want to taste it. Crystal teased in a very sexual voice while licking her lips, then continued. It's been so long since I've been able to wrap my lips around your dick. I missed y'all, she said, referring to Jason and his dick, while at the same time keeping her hand in motion. And before he could respond to her, she was leaning over the middle console and unbuttoning those linen shorts. What? You didn't miss me, baby? 'Cause if you don't, then your dick sure does, she continued. She continued stroking while keeping eye contact with him and giving him a hand job that she could tell by the way that his dick was standing that he was in desperate need of. You already know I do. Well, shut up and just look out to make sure no one catches us while I do me, she ordered as she went down and started to put the head of his dick in her warm mouth. Oh, yeah, baby. Damn, suck that dick. Yeah. Ah, yeah, baby. Was all he could manage to squeeze out as soon as those lips wrapped around his 9 inches and sent him to pure ecstasy. Jason leaned Jason leaned the seat back so he could get a better view of his beautiful scene that was going down in his lap. Jason placed his hand on the back of her head to guide her on his thick shaft, but after a couple minutes, he let that same hand find its way down her back, then to her ass, and he let his fingers find their way under that little pink dress she wore. Moving her thong to the side, he began to play with her love nest, quote unquote, by rubbing his middle finger over her pussy lips and then onto her clit. Yeah, Poppy, play with that pussy, Crystal mumbled while never taking him out of her mouth. Jason continued playing in her soaky wet pussy for about 3 more minutes. Then he began to run his wet fingers over his mouth, tasting all of her juices. Then going back to pleasing her pussy. Poppy, please, Poppy, I want you to stick your fingers in my ass while I suck this dick for you. He did as he was told until he eased most of his middle finger inside her ass, and the soft moans that she let escape her lips only added to his pleasures as Jason continued playing in her back door. Ah, yeah, bitch, eat that dick. Yeah, just like that. He knew Crystal was a freak and she loved it when he talked dirty to her. So that's what he did as he began to feel his nut about to explode in her mouth. So he pumped harder, trying to push all of his dick down the back of her throat. Ooh, my goodness. Jay, Jay, get up, bruh. They just called Chow. You going? his celly Rico asked. Jay rolled over looking like he was mad to be alive, then answered, Man, nah, I'm good. I'm just probably gonna cook something. What they got anyway? Man, I don't know, but probably some bullshit. But I'm gonna walk up anyway, cause I gotta meet Black and grab this cap of weed. I'll be back in a second. Alright. Rico turned to walk out of the cell, then stopped and spun around. Oh yeah. Why the fuck was you hunching and shit in the bed when I came in the room? That must have been a hell of a dream you was having, Rico said while laughing. Jay knew he was all into the dream too. All he could do was shake his head and say, Man, bruh, I had a crazy ass dream, but I'll tell you about it later. Grab them stamps at my locker and give me a cap from Black too. It's 6 books there. Tell Black I'll meet him in the morning at breakfast and give him the other 4 books of stamps. After Rico grabbed the stamps and left, Jay just lay there in his bunk thinking to himself, Damn, I gotta get this pussy. Damn, I gotta get out of this pussy ass shit quick. Y'all, so isn't that crazy? That ends chapter 1. We about to go into chapter 2. So the whole chapter 1, that whole thing was a whole dream, family. He thought he was getting released, honey. He got him some good pussy, okay? He got his little dick sucked, and it was fake, okay? So chapter 2, August 13th, 1994, Pensacola, Florida. So we are going back in time, family. August 13th, 1994, Pensacola, Florida. It was the summer of 94, and the heat was blazing outside, at least 94 degrees. Jay and his mother had just moved back to Florida from Houston. His stepfather had just got picked up on federal drug charges, and his mother wasn't able to keep the $2,800 a month payments up on her home. So therefore, they were forced to move back to Pensacola, Florida. Jay missed their fancy home in Houston. He was equipped with everything for a child. Swimming pool, game room, basketball and tennis courts, movie theaters, etc. All those different games under one roof was just every 10-year-old's dream. But honestly, Jay would rather be here in Pensacola, where he was today. This was his hometown, and this was the place where the 2 people he considered his friends were at. The older gray brick home they now lived in. The older gray brick home they now lived in had belonged to Jay's grandparents before they passed. It was an older model flat home built in the 60s in a subdivision called Wedgwood. The neighborhood was somewhat of the ghetto. The houses were small and close together. The neighborhood was all black and drug infested. Nothing like the mini mansion in Houston, but it was a place to call home. Jay, you need to get in there and clean that damn room, his mother, Miss Joyce, yelled from the kitchen. She was doing dishes and talking to her childhood friend, Miss Stacy. So keep that in mind, y'all. Miss Stacy is her best friend, the mama's best friend, okay? Jay is the main character. His mother is Joyce, and Stacy is the best friend. Jay did what his mother asked of him. Well, somewhat of what she asked. He tossed all of his clothes in the bottom of the closet and shoved his toys under the bunk beds. Looking around them, Jay said to himself, Looks good to me. Then he rushed into the kitchen. Ma, can I go to the park for a little while? Jay asked. Is that room cleaned? And I'm not talking about everything stuffed in the closet under the bed. He lied. Yes, ma'am, Jay answered. Go ahead, but make sure you're back before dinner. Bye, Miss Stacy, Jay said, turning and running towards the front door. Jay, Miss Stacy called out before he made it to the door. Yes, ma'am. Stop by the house and tell Los I said pull them pork chops out the freezer and sit them on the counter. Yes, ma'am, Jay answered, slamming the door behind him. Miss Joyce finished up the dishes, then took a seat at the table with her friend. So how does it feel to be back? The woman had a wine cooler. Each woman had a wine cooler each. Miss Joyce took a sip, then answered, "Honestly, Stacy," she sighed, "I'm glad to be back home. I just hate all the mess that happened to Mitch." "I know, girl. And Mitch is the father, you all." "I know, girl." Miss Stacy felt bad for her friend. "But you're home now, and I'm here for you. We are family. Whatever you need, just ask. Whatever." "Thanks, girl. I know you're ill, sis, and I can always count on you." "That's right," Miss Stacy assured. The women weren't biological sisters, but they had known each other for over 25 years. They were as close as family gets and sisters could be. "So, where all them nice cars and expensive furniture y'all had?" Miss Stacy asked. "Well, the feds got the Corvette and Benz. I sold the 2 trucks in Lincoln. I kept the Caddy and the Maxima and sold all the furniture." "Well, you should be sitting on some major paper then. I need a loan, girl," Miss Stacy joked. "I got a little something stashed away for a rainy day. Mostly trying to have Mitch something that he can come home to. But if you need it, I got it." "I thought Mitch had life." "Yeah, but he says his lawyers is filing a Rule 35 motion to get him back in court." "What's a Rule 35?" Miss Stacy questioned. "Girl, I don't know," Miss Joyce answered honestly. 2 years later, August 21st, 1996, the summer was officially over and it was the first day back to school. Jay and Los, the 2 best friends, right? Just making sure, we keeping up with the characters' family. Jay and Los's second year in middle school at that. Jay was up early this rise and dressed in Tommy Hilfiger from head to toe. He couldn't wait to make it to school and show off his new outfit, probably as every other kid in America on that same day. Jay ate the big breakfast that his mother had prepared for him, then headed around the corner to Los's house. Los stayed on the Wagner Road, directly across from Wedgwood's middle school. Jay's plans were to hang out at Los's house until it was time for school. Jay made it around the corner to Los's house at 7 a.m. on the head. He didn't see Mrs. Stacy's car in the driveway and figured she was already off to work. Jay banged on the door. Dum 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 dum. He beat on the door for about 5 minutes before Los answered. "Damn, nigga! Why the fuck you beating at a nigga door? Like you the police, 7 o'clock in the morning and shit? You supposed to be up and ready for school." "Nigga, we got over an hour before school start. That shit don't start till 8:30. And plus, it's right across the damn street," Lo said, heading back towards the bathroom. He only had a towel wrapped around his skinny ass waist, covering his dark chocolate skin. So far, so good. The first day of school was rolling smooth, other than Jay being hungry as hell. The bell had just rung, in the third period, and it was time for lunch. The chicken tenders and fries lit up the hallways. Jay made his way through the front doors of the school cafeteria and got in line. There were about 15 to 20 kids in front of him. Jay looked through the line. None were Los, Huck, or T.Y. Huck was another kid from the hood that Jay knew before moving to Texas. He was the same age as Jay, Los, and T.Y. All 4 were like family. Most of the time, when you saw one, you'd see the others. If not, then they weren't too far behind. Jay grabbed his food and made his way over to a corner table of the school cafeteria. The tables were made out of stainless steel. They were long and rectangular, with steel benches attached to them. He prayed over his food, then dug in. By now, the cafeteria began to fill up with more students and people sitting all over the place. Jay spotted Huck and Los in line, but he didn't see T.Y. The spot next to Jay and across from him was open. He slid his lunch tray across from him and his strawberry slushie to his left so that he could save the 2 seats for his homies. After ordering, they made their way over to the table. Good looking, Huck said for saving the seat. He took the seat next to Jay, and Lowe sat across from him. Fuck that. That nigga should have had that nigga shouldn't have put nothing down. Just tell these niggas you got these seats for your homeboys. You act like you scared of these niggas, said Los. He was joking, but he was dead ass serious also. Most people knew him. Most people that knew him would say he has a short man complex, but others say that he just didn't play the radio with niggas. His temper was quick and he loved to fight. Los was the type of dude who let nothing slide. Huck was a fighter also, a much better one than Los at that. He was very mannerable and respectful, but at any given second, he could blow a fuse and crack a nigga's jaw. All in all, he was a good dude once you got to know him. Huck was a brown-skinned, naturally solid, and well-built ass 12-year-old. He was always an inch or two taller for his age, but his boxing skills were well advanced ahead of him. Some kids around the school say that that's the reason Los went around starting fights with other kids. It's because he had Huck by his side. Between him and Los, they got suspended at least a dozen times last year for fighting. Yeah, Jay, if you wouldn't have been seen with us last year, you wouldn't even have to worry about niggas looking at you, more or less trying to sit by you. Huck added with a mouthful of fries. Finally, T.Y. made it to the cafeteria. He ordered and made his way over to the table with the others. Sup, he greeted, taking a seat. He wasn't from the same hood as others. As a matter of fact, not even from the state. T.Y. was from Atlanta, but he moved to Florida last year with his older brother, Slim. They stayed in the hood next to Wedgwood called Lincoln Park. T.Y. was in Jay's homeroom class last year, and that's how they met. About the middle of the school year, Huck and Los took a liking to him, and ever since they were inseparable. He wasn't as bad as Los and Huck. He was more like Jay. Loved sports and was infatuated by nice things. His older brother Slim spoiled him with whatever he wanted since they were all that they had. Their parents passed away in a horrible accident, and they never really had a relationship with their grandparents. The four sat at the table talking during lunch, just really catching up on summer and betting who would have the most girlfriends this year. After the lunch bell rang, ending lunch, everyone agreed to meet up at T.Y.'s house after school. Huck couldn't make it that evening. His mother made him go to his grandparents' house and run errands with her. Jay and Los rode their bikes down the train tracks, then got off in Lincoln Park. They took to Lepley and Lepley to Aaron Drive. The bike ride only took 10 minutes. They saw Slim's usual candy apple red Chevy and white Nissan in the driveway. The Chevy was dressed up with all gold Daytons, and the Nissan had all chrome Daytons. Slim was sitting on the truck of his Chevy, talking to one of his homies when they rode up on bikes. "Sup with y'all niggas?" Slim greeted. "Smoking on a blunt?" "Nothing, just coolin'," Jay replied, and Los nodded his head. Both Jay and Los's eyes lit up, and Jay reached for the blunt, and Slim pulled it back. "Nigga, y'all know I ain't gonna let you smoke this shit. I was just seeing what y'all was gonna say," Slim said. He hit the blunt once more, then passed it to New Kirk. I'm guessing New Kirk is like one of his homies, right? "Yeah, y'all niggas gonna be hell when y'all get older," New Kirk said, puffing on the blunt. New Kirk was one of Slim's homies from across town, out of the Warrington Village projects. "For real though, I can see y'all getting some major money," Bronze added, putting his 2 cents in. He was the other friend with Slim. Bronze was born and raised in Lincoln Park. He had been there all 23 years of his life. "Why y'all say that?" a curious Jay asked. He was still seated on his bike. Y'all little niggas just like me. That's how I started hustling. By seeing older niggas in the hood getting paper and doing what they wanted. I see this fast money excite you. Y'all infatuated by these candy paints and 100 spokes we riding on. Look at this fat knot. Y'all want this and much more, Bron said, flashing a wad of cash he had in his pocket. Don't you? Everybody I know wants big money and nice cars. And just like Scarface said, every dog has his day, Jay replied to the sermon he was just giving. To be only 12 years old, he was advanced and had seen a lot from his stepfather, Mitch. Remember, Mitch is locked up now for life. What you know about Scarface? Newark asked, passing the blunt to Bronze. I seen it with my mom's boyfriend when he was getting money. That's how I'ma get it. That's how I'ma be getting it. Just like Scarface, Jay said. For real though, Lo said, mocking Bronze when he commented earlier. They all laughed, and eventually Jay and Los went inside the house where T.Y. was at. The rest of their 7th grade school year flew, and by the end of it, they had all lost their virginity and were selling dime sacks of weed at school that T.Y. stole from Slim. Damn, family. So T.Y., Slim is the older brother, right? Remember? T.Y. is he's been stealing his weed, and that's how they selling little dime bags in school, child. So this is chapter 3. This is going 2 years later, so we're fast forwarding 2 years. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, family. I'm going to stop right here, and we will begin on chapter 3 on the next video. Leave y'all thoughts, comments down below. Let me know how y'all feel about the book thus far. Do y'all like the idea of book club? Are y'all book readers, So that's where we're going to leave off. Peace to the gods and goddesses. Be sure to hit me up on my tarot website if you would like a tarot reading. I'm not going to give any readings this broadcast. We'll just keep it book club. I'll go ahead and change the title. But y'all know where to reach me. All the links are down below in the description box, okay? My natural skincare business, my spirituality business, tarot, consultations on, spiritual guidance, all of those great things. So hit your girl up. You can always donate to the Cash App if you're feeling extra generous. Peace to the guys and goddesses, and until next time.